Hey everyone, my name is Seraphine Young. In this video, I'm going to be sharing tips on how I got 2 job offers after making over 150 job applications within a period of 3 months and also facing countless job rejections. If you'd like to know more about how I became a software engineer, please go watch my first video, which is going to be linked here or here. Firstly, I would like to stress that getting a job is a job in itself. It took me a while to realize this, but once I did, I would wake up in the morning as if I was going to a full-time job, go through my normal morning routine, sit down on my desk, and then begin my day of job applications. Treating my job search as a full-time job helped me to cut out distraction and increase my focus time. Another key tip I would like to share is that you can get jobs through people. So grow your connections and network. LinkedIn proved to be very vital in my job search. What I did was set filters that it would only show me jobs that were a day or 2 old. That way my CV had a higher chance of being seen by the recruiting manager. If it was a company that I really liked, what I'll do is take it a step further, connect with some of the engineers on LinkedIn, and send them a DM asking if they would like to have a chat about this role. Usually they'll go on to say yes or actually refer me for that job role. Another tip I'd like to share is that it is important to track your job applications. I use a spreadsheet that had things like the job title, the date I applied, the company that I applied to, what stage I was during the interview process, and relevant links to the job description. What it did for me was at every point in time during my application process, I can see what stage I was. What was I doing at that time? Was it code test? Was it the first call with the recruiter? Was it the final stages of the interview? It is also from that data that I realized that I'd sent over 150 job interviews over a period of 3 months. Another thing that helped me was tailoring my job application to match the job description. To increase your chances of success, learn to customize your CV and cover letter to meet up with what the company is looking for. What I did was, instead of creating a brand new CV and cover letter every time, I had a generic CV and cover letter I would use and customize it based on what the job spec was. Bear in mind that this was over 4 years ago. In today's world, you would give ChatGPT your CV, a job description, and tell it to tailor your CV to match that job description, and job done. However, you might have to spend some time proofreading it, but it has basically done 60 to 70% of the job for you. The next tip I'd like to share with you is that interviewing is a skill that requires practice. After having so many unsuccessful interviews, I decided not to wait for a real life interview to then practice my interviewing skill. What I did was contact one of my mentors who was also working in the industry and ask him if he could run a couple of interviews with me. What we did was take turns in asking each other interview questions. So he'll ask me a question and then I'll repeat the same question to him. This process helped me see where I was lacking in terms of my body language, my confidence, calmness, and using the right vocabulary to answer those questions. Also made me realize that the interviewer wants that role to be filled as much as I wanted the job, and that increased my confidence level tremendously. On the vocabulary side of things, I went back home and studied a lot of technology related terms and added that to my use of words, and it really made an impact on the next 2 interviews that I got after we did that practice. The last tip I would like to share with you is how to handle rejections and asking for feedback. So you've done all this work, you've done all this interview, at the last stage they tell you, nope, we are not going to give you this job. It's heartbreaking. One thing that helped me later on in my job application process is always remembering that rejections are also part of the process. I'm not going to lie. The first few rejections are going to hurt, but it is important to move on and not let them discourage you. It is completely okay for you to do a little moan about it or even cry. I cried a couple of times, but I did not let it weigh me down for long because I had another job interview to prepare for, and I had another job application to send in. After a while, you begin to realize that yes, you get rejections, but you're able to deal with them better than you did the first few you had. To add to that, I'd want to say be very selective of the jobs you spend your time sending an application in for. If you have a recruiter that is not taking the process seriously, is not responding to your emails, not picking up your calls, I'd say be very wary of spending your time doing that job applications. I had an experience where I spent 4 days, day and night, working on a coding test, which I ended up submitting to the company and did not hear back from anybody. Did not hear back from the company, did not hear back from the recruiter. That experience taught me to read the signs and read the room more. If the recruiter is not calling me back, if they're not responding to my questions, it's mostly a red flag for me. So I wouldn't bother spending my time sending an application for that job. On the topic of feedback, if you have an opportunity to ask for feedback, please do, because it will give you some insight into what went wrong and what you can do better for your next interview. I want to leave you with a paraphrased analogy that I watched recently from Kerry Washington. And she said, you pray to catch the bus and then you run as fast as you can. If you miss the bus, it was not your boss. If you don't run or if you don't pray, that could have been your boss. So if you put in all the hard work to learn a skill, keep going, your boss will come. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.